Good day, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today and welcome at Odoo Experience if this is the first talk you attend to. And more specifically, welcome at this presentation during which we will talk about picking and I'll try to show you how we can make picking easy by using Odoo. Before we get down to business, I would like to quickly introduce myself as we will spend the next 25 minutes together. My name is Kellyan. I work as a business advisor here at Odoo in Louvain-la-Neuve, and I'm very happy to present this topic today. The agenda, we will start with an introduction, then we will move on to the risks that you could face if you have a bad pick and pack process. The third topic is by far the most interesting one because we will cover the new features of V15, and then we will move on to the picking strategies for a demonstration flow. And then of course, last but not least, you will be able to ask me all your questions during the Q&A at the very end of this talk. Now, what is picking? Kelly, do you have an idea of what picking is about?
Uh, Not sure. It sounds a little bit complicated though. But I'm also busy right now.
All right, all right. Apologies for asking. So, picking is by far easier said than done. We could define picking as the process of pulling out the right product from a warehouse for a specific order, or pulling out more products, multiple products from multiple warehouses for multiple orders. I know this sounds quite theoretical, sorry, but I'll try to show you how we can make the process quite easy into Odoo. Before I show you this, I would like to cover the risks when you have a bad pick and pack process. So of course, there are a lot of risks when it comes to picking. I have shortlisted a few picking such as inaccurate inventory, increased stat, which is the turnaround time. It's basically the time you need to fulfill a request. A third risk could be the delayed order fulfillment. And last but not least, you can also have some unsatisfied customers, but also employees.
Yeah, where is that spare park? Oh my god, it's just always a pain in the ass to find it.
I don't think Kelly is using Odoo. So what application do you need to do some picking in Odoo? You mainly need three applications. The first one is the inventory application. Then, of course, you will need the sales or purchase application. And if you want to use this nice little gadget, you will need the barcode application. Now, for information, the barcode application is totally free. You can just download it into the application store. And now, let's move on to the demo. Perfect. So now let's have a look at the new features of the V15. I won't be able, of course, to show you all the new features, otherwise this video would take too long. But I have decided to shortlist a few features that to me are the most interesting to boost or increase the performance of your pick and pack process. The first feature that we will see together is the fact that now you can edit quantities done in picking more easily. In order to show you this, I would like to go on the demo database that I have made for today. We will go into our inventory application and have a look at the delivery orders, for example. I'm just going to pick a random delivery order, such as this one. Perfect. So in order to understand this new feature, we really need to have a look at what were the possibilities in V14. Before, you were able to do a move line, so we're just going to validate the whole move, and the move was done. Or you could go line by line to edit the quantities manually. But if you do this, it's impossible to validate the whole order in once. So for big companies that have to manage multiple sales orders or purchase orders with multiple lines in it, it's quite hard then to, well, before it was quite hard then to edit the quantities. And you can see here now with Odoo, you have a new button which is set the quantities. And if I click on it, I see immediately here that the done quantities are already set on the lines. But of course, if I still want to edit, I can simply click on it and edit all the quantities very easily. So you can just stick to the same screen. You don't have to go in the lines anymore, and you can just click here on set the quantities. The second feature I would like to show you is the star products. It's a small feature, but a really cool one. So let's go back into our database and log in into our product catalog. So here is just the articles we sell. I'm just going to star a few products such as, let's say, the office lamp and the 3-seat sofa, for example. So we have two products that we just starred. Now, why is it useful? Well, now when we want to pick something in the sales application or the purchase application or in the inventory application, you will see that those products, they will be at the very top of our list. So I'm just going to go into a quotation, select one product, and if I click here on the arrow, I see here my 2 products that are starred. So you will win some time, of course. It's a big game changer for a company used to selling or buying always the same products. You won't have to look into the list for the specific articles because they are starred, they're at the top of the list. The third feature is, of course, log a transfer note in the barcode. So that's also quite interesting because it's going to boost the communication within the company and especially between the people buying the products and the people receiving the products. It's just an example for the receipts. So let's go back into our database, onto our dashboard. Just going to discard. This is our previous example, of course. So we just did a purchase. We just purchase something to a supplier, but the supplier calls me and tells me that the box, the shipping box that they used is broken. So it's quite problematic. So you just have the person on the phone. I'm just going to look for an appropriate example. So this one is perfect. I will go into the receipt. So I have the person on the line and the person tells me, well, the box is broken. So I'm just going to go here in my notes, edit, and then just type down box is broken. Be careful. I can validate this or save it. And once the note is saved, I really want to be sure that the people in my warehouse, when they will doing the picking, they will see this note. So we can have a look now at the barcode application. Just remind this is the right sequence we should look for. So let's go into the barcode application, click on operations, we'll go into the receipts, and then we will go here in our receipt, and what we can see is of course the note which is clearly visible at the top of my receipt order. So that's a really nice tool or feature to boost of course the communication within the company. The fourth or the next feature is allow mass reservation for multiple pickings. So once again, let's go into the DB and let's have a look at our delivery orders. So I'm just going to go here in my delivery orders. So what you now can do is basically select all the orders you would like to pick. So for example, I'm just going to select all of them. And I see here now that I have 2 buttons. So I can unreserve and check the availability for the wished lines. So in this case, for example, we can do an example. I would like to group the delivery orders by day and then pick, for example, all the orders that are not ready yet or maybe even ready. So that's really up to you. I can click on it. I can unreserve them. Of course, they disappear because I use the filter ready. So if I remove this filter, I can go back to it here. These were the 2 orders I just picked, and I can just simply click on it and then check the availability again, and it's ready again. So it's a great tool to just do this on a more bigger scale so that you can really mass reserve or unreserve and then check the availability from the same screen. Group by destination or by carrier, also quite useful. Why? Because now it's possible to group specific deliveries or receipts by carrier or destination. Let's go back to our delivery orders, and we see here that we have now 2 extra fields. So it's the field of carrier and destination. Some companies, for example, they have a specific day when the carrier is coming up to pick the orders. So let's assume we would like to group all the delivery orders for UPS Express. I can simply now go into group by, add a custom group, and then select here carrier, apply my group, and Odoo is going to group by all the orders by carrier. So that's a great example for today. We see here we have 2 delivery orders for UPS Express, which is going to make it very easy for me to group them and ship them out. So this is of course for the carrier, but we could do the same of course with the destination. Some companies might have some trucks with specific dates. For example, we have a specific day during which a truck is leaving for Poland. Well, you will be able to group them by destination as well. Okay, if you want to activate it, you can see it here. I clicked on carrier and destination, so super easy to find. Scan products to filter or find location quantities. In order to show this feature, we need to go on the barcode application. So let's go back into our database, open the barcode application. Now the first feature is quite useful. Why? Because you can now simply scan a product and Odoo is going to show you the location, the quantities, etc. So I'm just going to take my barcode scanner and scan a random product. There we go. And as soon as I scan the product, Odoo really shows me, well, of course, which product it is, the location, where can I find the product, serial number if it's applicable for this example, which is not the case here today, and then, of course, the quantity on hand. So that's quite useful because at any time, if you want to have more information, access more data quickly of a product, you can simply scan the product. Another feature which is really nice as well, if you go into the operations this time, and let's have a look at our delivery orders. In this case, we can say, for example, I'm going to scan a product and Odoo is going to automatically filter all the records in which you can find that product. So in this case, I'm going to scan this product, for example, and you see immediately Odoo shows me which record has this article. So quite easy as well, very useful. Another tip and trick I wanted to share with you, if we click here on a random order, so let's say this one, for example, I'm going to go in it. So this is a screen for the picking if you use the barcode application. Now, if we click on the pen here, we access more information, such as, for example, the place, the location, sorry, the name of the product, the quantity on hand, and also the serial number. And then last but not least, for the ones willing to try the barcode application, which is free once again, you'll be able to click here on the stock barcode sheets or the commands for inventory. I'm going to click on that one, for example, and you can see here, for example, all the operations that you can use by using a scanner. Perfect. Next, automatic batch creation. So this feature enables you to create from scratch just a new batch. In order to do this, let's have a look once again in the barcode application into the operations of the delivery orders. And I'm just going to pick a random operation, such as this one, for example. And as soon as I click on it, well, Odoo asks me if I want to start a new batch. And that's the new feature. So you can really from that screen start a new batch or just process the operation like you would just usually do. So in this case, let's do the new batch. I'm going to click on it. And you see that Odoo immediately creates an automatic batch. In this case here, we have a batch with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 orders. And then last but not least, the wave from stock move line, which is well related with the wave picking. In order to show you this, I would like to quickly present you the picking strategies in Odoo. So the picking strategies in Odoo, we have 3 picking strategies. We have the wave picking, the batch picking, and the cluster picking. I'll show you, of course, the new feature. But before, I would like to quickly explain you what the wave picking is about. So we could see the wave picking. I'm just going to take an example. In this case, we have one company with a warehouse, and in the warehouse, we have 3 different areas, zones, or shelves, for example. So with shelf number 1, shelf number 2, and shelf number 3. And then we also have 3 employees, employee number 1, employee number 2, and employee number 3. With wave picking, every single employee, so employee number 1, is going to shelf number 1, picks the orders and brings it back to the consolidation table. Employee number 2 does the same with shelf number 2, and employee number 3 does the same with the shelf number 3. So this is really what we called wave picking. I'll show you, of course, in a few seconds how we can do this in Odoo with a new feature. But first, I also want to speak about the batch picking. I'll also give you an example in a few minutes, of course. Batch picking is basically going to the warehouse with one big batch, and you simply add all the products on the batch and then go to the consolidation table for packing, and shipping. And then the last strategy is the cluster picking, which is pretty similar to the batch picking, but on top of the batch, we also have some small clusters. And in the clusters, you will be able to put all the products so that you can also ship the products after the picking is done. So we go back to the wave picking, and I would like to show the new feature. So in order to show you this new feature, we are still in the inventory application. This one here, and there are 2 possibilities or 2 ways to do the wave picking. The first one is just by going into my delivery orders. I'll just group them by date, for example. Perfect. And I'm just going to do a wave picking with all the orders I need to ship out on the 24th of September. So it's quite easy. You can see here I can select them all. And once I selected them, I can just click here on action and then add to wave. So that's the first possibility to make a wave. The second option is we go back to our inventory application, and we're going to look here at the operations of our delivery orders. In this case, I'm not going to group them by date, I'm just going to group them by location. So you'll see it's a bit likely to the example I gave you before. So group by location, and we see here I have shelf number 1, shelf number 2, shelf number 3. Let's assume today I would like to do one wave picking for shelf number 2. I can simply click here on all my operations, select them all, and add to the wave. Now Odoo asks me if I want to add it to an existing wave transfer, if I already have one, so I could just pick this one, or create a new wave transfer. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I confirm, and we just made a wave picking. Another tip and trick, if we go back onto our overview in the inventory, and let's go here, for example, in the delivery orders, we can now access immediately the batch or the wave. You see here, this is the wave pick I just created. So we can simply click on the wave and have an immediate look at what's the weight or what are the items or all the articles in the wave. So this is for the wave, but I can also do the same with the batch, for example, such as batch, this one here, and then we have a clear look at what's in the batch. Perfect, so like promised, I would like now to show you a more practical example on how to do the batch picking and the cluster picking. And for this, I invite you in my warehouse. Let's go. This was fast. Welcome in my warehouse. So we're going to do the first exercise, which is a batch picking. And in order to make a batch picking, we need a batch. So this is my batch. It's basically a big trolley. And the first step that I'm going to do is basically scan the batch code. Now, as soon as I scan the batch, I also see on my screen what are the items I should put in my batch. In this case here, we see we have two different orders, the blue one and the red one. And for each order, I need to put some items in my batch. So let's take the first product. I'm just going to pick the box, take it, put it in my batch. There we go. And then, of course, I need to scan the items or the quantity which is required on the screen. Perfect. So now we have 10 of those, and I can move on to the second item. Let's take the other box. There it is. I add it to my batch, like this. And same as the first one, I'm going to scan the quantities. Perfect. And now, last but not least, the third box, which is right here. I'm also going to add it on my batch to fulfill the order. And I'm just going to scan it as well. Perfect. And now that we have all the items in the batch, we can successfully validate the batch. Perfect. So this was the first batch picking. Now we're going to do a batch picking, but which has a cluster flow in it. So I'm going to change my trolley. It's a smaller trolley. It's the same idea of the batch. Before we had one big batch in which I was putting all the articles. Now in this case, I'm going to use one trolley on which I have two clusters. So the idea, like I said before, of the cluster picking is you put immediately the product into the right packages. All right. To do this, of course, you need to activate packages into your configurations. Perfect. So the start is the same as with the batch. We're going to scan the batch code. In this case, it's batch 0001. On the screen, you can also see all the articles or the items that you need to put in the batch, and we can start. Perfect. We take our first article. I'm going to scan my article, have a look at the quantities. I need 3 of those, 1, 2, 3. And then when I'm going to put it in the cluster, I need, of course, to scan the cluster. And you can also see on the screen that this article goes into cluster pack 1. We do the same for the other products. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is also going into my cluster pack number 1. Perfect. And now I can see on my screen, I still have one line to do, which is this box. Perfect. I'm going to scan it, add it to my cluster, scan my cluster. And then, of course, the last action you need to do is to validate. And that's it. Super easy. So I'm just going to remove my trolley. And now I have one last question, of course. Kelly, do you still think that picking is a difficult process?
Well, not really. You did make sounded very easy.
And I'm glad to hear it. Thank you so much for watching and see you soon for the Q&A. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Kilian, for the nice presentation you just showed us. Yeah, we're here now to answer all the questions you have. Well, Kilian, how are you doing today?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you very much. I hope everyone enjoyed the picking talk. Let's move on to the questions.
Awesome, let's jump right into it. I think the first one was about hardware. So when I'm gonna become a customer of Odoo and I want to start with inventory and picking, how do it work with hardware? Did it be provided by us, or how is it working?
It's a good question. People ask it frequently. I would say at Odoo we provide you with the license, applications, the software, but we do not sell hardware. So any type of hardware pretty much can work with the Odoo system. You can go for a very cheap barcode scanner you can find on internet, or you can go for some more expensive hardware hardware objects or just the material that are a bit more pricey, but of course that can provide you with more features. We have a list on odoo.com, so if you go on the website, you can just see the list with all the hardware we would suggest. One of the hardware we do recommend the most are the Zebra ones.
Okay.
They're quite interesting when you look at the features, but also when you look at the price. There is a good ratio.
So price quality wise, Zebra
Exactly.
is the one you would recommend to all
That's the
customers.
one we would recommend.
Okay. And also we get the question quite often, could it also work via the phone? So with my iPhone or Android, I'm walking around in the...
It does work, but I would say it's maybe better to use a proper hardware, a proper equipment to scan all those the barcodes. Yeah, but
Okay.
it can technically work with an application that you have on your smartphone.
Okay, but it's more like for testing reasons, not like productively. If you really do like serious
Exactly.
inventory, you
Yeah,
would not
if you
recommend.
want to go like professionally and use a barcode application to its full extent, I wouldn't go with an application.
All right, then let's check. We have something from Sophia over here. Is it possible to scan a serial number instead of a product barcode?
It's a good question. I would say yes and no. It really depends on the fact that does Odoo already know the product you're dealing with. If the product is already in the backend, you can simply scan the serial number and Odoo is going to show you the product itself. If, for example, you do reception and you receive maybe products that you never had in your warehouse, you will then first need to scan the barcode of the product, then move on to the serial number. So yes and no. It really depends if it's already in the backend or not.
Like a lot of times, right? Okay, then from Hugo, we have here for wave picking. Is the stock picking duplicated in the list view only, no actual creation of stock picking, if it has multiple products that are in different locations?
So for the ones knowing Odoo, we do work with a feature that's called just the backorder. It works pretty much the same way here with the picking. You can decide to just select a line on the wave picking, go for the line, and then all the other lines that are not processed, you can just make sort of a backorder, which is just going to make another wave picking in the future when you want to process it.
All right, okay. Then here, James is asking, what's gonna happen in case I'm gonna be in the warehouse walking around and I'm scanning the wrong product?
Very good question. So it's not always a wrong product. Let's just put ourselves in an example. You are in a warehouse and accidentally you would like just to add or remove maybe an additional product. So you will be able to scan it with a barcode application. Odoo is not going to tell you this is wrong. You're just going to add it on the order, and then it's really up to you if you want to keep it or delete it from your order. Yeah.
Okay.
Same goes when I see the question of Ruben here. If you scan too much or too less, Odoo counts, of course, all the orders that you scan. So, for example, in the previous video that you saw, I had to scan 10 times an article. So you just need to scan it 10 times. If you go over it, you can, but then Odoo will show you that you overrode the quantity.
So you get like kind of a warning message to see.
Well, technically, you can just go above or below as long as you're okay with your operation.
All right. Okay, then what else do we have? How we could print barcodes to Zebra or anything else? Do we need the IoT box for that?
You don't need the IoT box to print the label. Simply go to the inventory application. You go into one of your operation, can be in a receipt, can be in a transfer, can be in the delivery order. And if you click on action or print, you can also print all the the barcodes for the zebra scanner, for example. Same goes as well with the delivery slips, etc. You can just simply print them from the application in the inventory.
So in that case, no IoT box needed.
No, you don't need an IoT box to print them. No.
Cool. Okay. What else do we have here?
Maybe the one with the cluster.
With the cluster, you're faster than me. Which one is the cluster?
No, it's from Annie.
From
Annie U.
Annie
Yeah.
U. Ah, there I see it. Does it? Annie U is asking, does it tell you what cluster to put the product in?
Very good question. So yes, Odoo tells you the cluster or the package you need to put in it. So if you've watched the video, you will have a big batch on which you have some clusters. And as soon as you take one item and you want to put it into the cluster, you also need to select or scan the appropriate cluster. So as soon as it's scanned and you scan also the cluster, you will see on the screen that Odoo says, well, this item went, or this item from that order went into this specific cluster. And you also have figures on it, so you will be able to know this is the cluster number 1, this is cluster number 2, and you can also see what are the items that are in the cluster.
Cool. All right. Let's go on here from Benelux Computer. How do I make auto print? That's the last question for the day.
Yeah.
Print my picking list where the products are in a alphabetic order. Now they are in order where they have been inputted in the order.
The standard feature of Odoo, but it's something I might need to double check, is not going to be sorted alphabetically. So you're not going to have one list with all the articles that are sorted alphabetically. It's just going to be depending on the sales order lines that you just added to the order.
All right, great, clear. And then thank you so much for your time, for answering all our questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching us, and enjoy the rest of the Odoo experience and watch all the other talks you can see. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.